Well, I've got three books that I've read recently. I've been reading quite a bit here. Um, the winter is coming to a close, and I know we're going to have snow again here in the next few days, but soon I'll be mowing grass and doing home repairs and um chasing grandchildren to track meets and baseball games and everything else. So I'm going to try to kind of go through these three relatively quickly. Two of them are very well known and have been analyzed by many folks over the years. The first one that I'll be reviewing tonight is City, Clifford D. Simak. Now, this one is my Science Fiction Book Club 50th Anniversary Edition. And let's see if I can remember. Uh, the copyright is 1952, Clifford D. Simak, and first SFBC Science Fiction printing August 2003. So, Simak has a very well-considered novel here. It's a fix-up novel. He has many astute observations regarding human civilization. And he tells his story, he tells his tale through the viewpoints of human engineered dogs, robots, plus people and mutants. His thoughts on cities are particularly relevant. The last few horrific world wars have shown that cities are definitely in a hostage situation. The book has quite a bit in it. I mean, there's a lot to go over. If you've read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to diverge a little bit here as Simak notes on page 45 in my book that, let's see, who is it? Webster. Webster is contemplating his old remembered things that suddenly were new. The chronometer that showed both Earthian and Martian time, the days of the month, the phases of the moon. And then he mentions the framed short snorter bill that cost him $10 on his trip to Mars. Now, of course, Simak survived World War II. He watched all of that happen, and most people probably don't have any idea what a short snorter bill is. During the war, the American government feared that Pearl Harbor would be overrun by the Japanese, and all of the currency there would just appear as regular U.S. currency, and they would be able to spend it to buy things, undermine the U.S. war effort. So what the government did was collect up all of the money, all the currency, and put out, reprinted all of the currency, just replaced it with bills that said Hawaii on the back of them. So if the Japanese took over, everyone knew, all the other nations knew, that the United States would not recognize these bills. Now, multiple servicemen staged through Hawaii, and the short snorters I happened to have a short snorter bill. And these guys wrote down their names on the bills and said where they had been. Now, this one is from 1945, so I'm pretty sure these guys survived the war. They were on Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal, Canton, Fiji, so many places. I don't even recognize some of them. But their names are on here, and the date on it is 11/16/45 that one of the gentlemen had written on the back of the bill. So this is something that is, I'm glad Simak mentioned that. He was obviously honoring the soldiers. So we're going to move on to Poul Anderson and Tall Zero. I have an SF Masterworks edition, and that is a great edition. And I do want to mention one other thing about City. One of the short stories in here is titled Desertion. And I think Desertion, as a standalone short story, is a masterpiece of writing. And it's been anthologized many times, and I forgot to mention that, so I wanted to get that in there. So back to Poul Anderson and Tall Zero. My SF Masterworks edition. I was very fortunate to pick this one up at 2nd and Charles, just 6-8 weeks ago. Let's see when it was published. Copyright 1970, Poul Anderson. This edition published in Great Britain in 2006 by Gollancz. The book is still in incredible condition, and Anderson tells the story of Charles Raymond and Ingrid Lindgren in this story, in this novel, and he also tells the story of Leonora Christine, the starship. The physics discussed regarding speed of light travel is still current. I just checked. I'm not seeing anything that has actually changed since this was written in 1970. Now, I enjoyed the novel quite a bit, particularly the physics. I will say I was not so interested in the romantic entanglements. But again, another great book. It has been reviewed multiple times with multiple takes on it, and highly recommended. I will rate City an 8 out of 10 and Tall Zero a 7 out of 10. The next book that I have just finished rereading again, which I purchased in 1967, and this is a Robert Silverberg edited anthology titled Voyagers in Time. 12 stunning and brilliantly original stories of fiction by Poul Anderson, Alfred Bester, Lester Del Rey, C.M. Kornbluth, P. Schuyler Miller, Michael Moorcock, Larry Niven, William Tenn, and others. Well, and they all have great stories in this book. Almost all of them are fantastic. And I will see if you might be able to read them here. I'll hold it up and try to let that focus. And this is one of my favorite time anthologies. We have The Sands of Time by P. Schuyler Miller. And it comes out here, Lester Del Rey. Brooklyn Project, William Tenn. Wrong Way Street, Larry Niven. Dominoes by C.M. Kornbluth, and they're all great, but my absolute favorite time story in this book, and probably it's among my top 10, is Traveler's Rest by David I. Masson. David did not write a lot of science fiction, and he was published mostly in the UK, and I believe this was published 1965 in New World's SF. This story is phenomenally good. This is one of the most inventive and intellectual time travel stories I've ever read. I mean, it's just amazingly good. It begins with combat. The main character's name is H, and he is on the front lines of a war that has gone on for a long time, and they refer to the front lines as the frontier. And the frontier shut down a mere 20 meters north, came every sort of meteoric horror, fission and fusion explosions, chemical detonations, a super hail of projectiles of all sizes and basic velocities, sprays of nerve paralysis, and thalamic dopes. So H has to wear a protective suit to even survive there for a millisecond, and he becomes relieved. No one else has ever known anyone who's been relieved at the front, and he is relieved. Now, time at the front is much slower than time on the rest of the earth, and it changes gradually as you approach the front, and you get back to regular time as you're leaving the front. And H, as he is leaving the front and approaching civilization, he begins to be called Had, and then Hadalaris. And as he gets to civilization, he's Hadalarison. He has recovered his entire name. Now, I can't say too much more other than Had marries and has children and continues his life. Then he is recalled. And I won't say anything else about the story. I would highly recommend this story, and I will provide a link to it in the description. David I. Masson. I rarely heard of him after the 70s. So that's what I have for reviews today. I will try to do a little more in-depth review on some books that I'm reading that have not been reviewed so many times. And that's all I've got. Have a great day.